his eyes are now taking him into much more dangerous throws than he would have tried to attempt in New England. If you think about all of those drives that happened at the end of games, think about how many dinks and dunks really occurred as they moved the ball down. It was very possession related. And this is not the way the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are constructed. So when you're trying to place blame or whatever we're trying to do in the conversation, I don't think it just lies at the feet of Tom Brady. I think he's trying to do what he's being coached to do. The disconnect for me is it's showing that he's not capable of making the throws that you are now demanding of him. And not just because of last night. If you proceed earlier in the season, like this is a common theme, right? I think before last night, he was 1 of 13 in the last couple games of 15-plus yard type throws. This is concerning. And here's the other part, is that when you're asking him to make those deep throws, the offensive line is not keeping the pocket clean enough where he can step up. And the book on every pocket passer is, if you make him reset or move his feet, take his eyes down, they're not the same quarterback. And that's been true since day one. So you're seeing kind of all of the kryptonite kind of get thrown at him at one time, asking him to do some things, not being quite protected. And listen, the one area I can say, Stephen A., that I fully agree is no run game. Like, at some point, if you're getting that much pressure, and it started the first drive, like Brockers was back there smacking Tom Brady at like play 2 and 3. You know that's going to rattle him, but you never got you never just took the ball and ran it at him. That's concerning for me, because at some point you do have to take the pressure off, and there's a ton of blame. The receivers got beat up by the defensive backs of the Rams. The front four of the Rams dominated the offensive line. So there's a lot to go around. Not placing blame, but I do have concern that can Tom Brady do what's being asked of him? Again, some type of common sense has to come in. I mean, let's liken it back to Peyton Manning in Denver. There were things that you saw him become limited of doing, and so they made some change. I haven't seen the changes yet.
Hey.
That's the issue for me.
Hey, Jeff, for future reference, I want you to know that I've noticed something very slick about you. You're brilliant with your football analysis, but I think that you go on a little bit longer because you don't want me to get at you. I know that strategy. Max Strasburg, it doesn't work with me. It doesn't work with me, Jeff Saturday. I'm just letting you know that. That's number one.
Is this
that's number one. Number two.
This from the guy who invented ball.
Hell no. That's number one. Number two, Jeff is right. Tampa Bay hasn't rushed for more than 90 yards in more than half of their games. And number three, are we just going to ignore, and I know we got to move on, are we just going to ignore the fact that the Buccaneers defense gave 23 catches and 275 yards to the Rams' two top receivers? Yeah. 275 yards?
You're right.
I mean, the two receivers, damn.
Let me take it here, though, guys, because I want to focus on the Rams. So Russell Wilson and Tom Brady have combined for 5 turnovers against this Rams defense. Let's stay with them. They're now tied for top in the division with Seattle. We know the NFC West is the best division in the league. Stephen A., are the Rams your NFC favorites at this point?
No, they deserve to be, but I'm not going with it. I'm not going to jump off my bandwagon, even though I don't like the way the Bucs look against the Saints, of course, and I certainly don't like what I saw last night. I believe in Tom Brady, and I'm not going to jump off that bandwagon. I think that when it really, really counts, the Rams' offense is going to let them down. The defense will shine. The offense will let them down. You see yesterday when the last thing you needed was a turnover and Jared Goff threw that interception? This is the kind of stuff that happens. I don't believe in the Rams' offense to that degree. I believe in their defense, not their offense. I'm a roll with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I'm still not going to jump off that bandwagon. I can't argue with anybody that would pick the Saints after what the Saints did to them twice this year. I can't argue with that. I just refuse to believe that the Saints would beat them 3 times in the same season. I don't see Tom Brady losing to one opponent on 3 separate occasions in the same year. With the Rams, I got questions about their offense. That's why I'm sticking with the Bucs, even though right now I can understand why anybody would say otherwise.
Hold up. You don't see Tom Brady losing to the same opponent 3 times in the same year. That would be one thing if it was going in the right direction. If it was trending in the right direction, like Tom Brady barely loses or Tom Brady gets blown out by Breeze and the Saints, and then as they're gaining momentum and everything, now it's a close game, and so you have reason to believe next time it'll be different. It went the other way, brother. It was like neither team looked that good. You can understand Tom Brady just got there and all that. And then the next time they linked up, it wasn't the same. And by the way, the Saints are if this is all assuming Breeze gets back. If he gets back, what the injury will have meant likely is that he got some time off. Think about Drew Brees recently in the playoffs. He's looked beaten up, worn down. He's looked old, right? He's looked fatigued. Not if he has several weeks off, especially 4, 5, 6 weeks off. Taysom Hill looked pretty good. Looks like they can keep their heads above water while they're waiting for Breeze. Then Breeze comes back. I've mentioned repeatedly in recent years, the Saints against the run have been the most consistent of the dynamic offensive teams, right? Year in and year out, they're pretty good there for a team with a dynamic offense. But the offense got more dynamic, at least on paper, with Emmanuel Sanders, a real number 2 receiver. The defense got better, again, at least on paper, and it's paying dividends already with the Quan Alexander trade, who's a good player. They were able to get him because of his contract, not because he can't play. He's good. And the Saints' defense just got better. Look at what they just did. I know it's against the Falcons, but their defense looked tremendous this week. So if you're looking at the NFC and you don't like the Rams, Stephen A., because of Goff, and I'm kind of with you there, actually, you're not taking against the Saints because you think Brady's not going to lose 3 times to the Saints when the second beating was worse than the first. It's New Orleans.
Yeah, I absolutely agree. It's got to be New Orleans, and I've been a Bucs apologist the entire season. But what was shown last night? The reason it's so concerning is because of one of the things Stephen A. said. I wish I had the mute button. I could have stopped him, right then and jumped in on the defense of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. When you challenge Jared Goff to beat you, and he does, that concerns me, right? Because if you look at this offense and what they're capable of doing, and you talk about the vaunted Bucs defense and how they were going to hang their hat on that, and last night, I get the turnovers because Goff will give you a couple, but 2 receivers completely controlled the game, and not just making catches, but yards after the catch. So what does that mean? That means the front 4 of the Buccaneers couldn't impose its will. When you flipped it over, the Rams defensive line definitely imposed its will. So when you take it to the Saints defensive line will impose its will against that Tampa Bay offensive line as well. So Drew Brees coming back obviously is the starting point. He has to come back. I will say this about the Rams. The one thing that is encouraging about the Rams is when you talk about when Goff is called to make the plays, this could be the game that you look back on and go, man, this is a defining moment in this guy's career. Going into Tampa Bay, being challenged to do it, absolutely no resemblance of a run game, and he put it on his shoulders, and they won. And listen, whether it's 2 receivers, 10 receivers, I really don't care. He played to the level to beat a very good defense and an offense of being run by Tom Brady. That's a pretty big deal. So this could be a feather in the cap type game for Jared Goff and the encouragement of him moving forward. But, man, that Saints team, boy, it's looking stacked just like Max said.
One thing that I would say before we end this is that Max, you're not seeing where I'm coming from in this regard. The fact that they looked so bad, to me, is what would motivate them to really, really correct the error of their ways. I'm talking about when they got blown out by the Saints. If it were 2 nail biters, I think you got a better chance of taking. You got a better chance of sweeping, winning 3 straight. But when you blow out a Tom Brady team that's so loaded, I can't believe that they're that bad. When you get trounced 38-3, I think the next time they met New Orleans, they would be ready because they know they'll get annihilated if they're not.
Stephen A., what do you change? Like, you're asking a leopard to change his spots, right? So Bruce Arians and Leftwich are all of a sudden good, because that's what's going to have to change. The ball they can't challenge them down the field. That's a big change. That's like a philosophical change. I'm just not sure that's.
But it has to be. But you said it yourself.
No risk it, no biscuit.
Hold on. But
and keep in mind,
but you said it yourself, Jeff.
Keep in
You
mind,
said it yourself. The great ones do that. What do we rave about with Bill Belichick? You go in, week out about how to win that game, whatever it takes. Maybe Bruce Arians should steal a page from that.
Yeah, but Bruce Arians came back and said we had guys
Los
open.
Angeles.
You remember? Like he talked about, we've got guys open. Like that's not a guy who seems like,
right, Max,
hey man, we made some errors. This is a guy who thinks we're going to challenge him, and you don't see it go. I just don't see that right now.
This was a big-time showdown. Brady and them had to be totally prepared. They were playing a team that's had to travel back and forth across the country constantly. They were favorites. And when in the moment of truth, Brady couldn't get it done, just like he couldn't.